This is Inner Healing Paths podcast. Here we discuss the healing of the mind, body, soul, and spirit through a variety of different paths. We have emotional and spiritually minded conversations centering on ancestral healing, psychology, astrology, yoga, meditation, magic, and indigenous spiritual practices of the world. I am your host, Rosa Shetty, and I am so happy you are here. Welcome. Hello, everyone. This episode is with the wonderful Itzpapalotl from Child of Venus. She is a designer, ceremonial danzante, and Mayan yoga teacher. In this episode, she shares about her own healing journey and the paths that she has taken for self-empowerment and reclamation of her ancestral medicine. She specifically talks about reconnecting with the Mexica and Mayan traditions and other indigenous healing practices. She shares her story of how she learned Yok'Hah, which is known as Mayan yoga, and how this opened the door to her own healing, and also on how to help others reconnect with their lineage and medicine. I do want to apologize for some audio issues, some parts cut off, as we were having connection difficulties during the recording. I also want to give a brief disclaimer that this episode does not treat or diagnose any physical or mental health condition. This episode does not substitute for healthcare or mental health services of any kind. Guests have a right to share their opinion and perspective, and this does not constitute an endorsement of them or any other entity they represent. I know you will love this interview. Take a listen. Hi, how are you?
I'm so blessed, so excited to be here with you today.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on. So just want to introduce our listeners to you, Itzpapalotl. I found you on Instagram through your jewelry actually, and I actually am wearing it now. You can see it. I just bought it a couple of weeks ago from you, and yeah, and I loved it. And I like I was mentioning to you earlier, I was looking through your Instagram, and I'm like, oh my God, I want everything that you have.
Yay! I'll make it all for you.
I love everything. It's just so beautiful and so unique, and I like the really like the chunky jewelry. I love that style, and your jewelry is very just, I don't know, it just feels very rich and gaudy. I don't know, I just love it. So
Thank
I'll be
you.
buying more. But I started off with this ring because I saw it. It was like a quick post that I saw. I don't know, someone must have tagged you on something. I don't know how I came across your work, but I saw the hummingbird, and I really feel like I connect with hummingbird. I with in regards to like spirit animals, I feel like that's mine. And I just saw it and I was like, okay, I have to have that.
Oh, yes. And hummingbirds are so significant. In Mexica culture, we say that the hummingbird is the antepasados coming
Oh,
to bring us a message.
wow.
And it goes so deep, even where the weight of the
Yeah.
largest hummingbird is, oh gosh, I can't remember the exact, but it's like a specific amount of grams weight. And that's also the amount of weight that the body loses when the body expires.
Really? Wow,
Yes.
that's amazing. I didn't even know that. And I in regards to ancestral work and working with my ancestors, that's my thing. I that's what I focus a lot on my just my personal healing. And so I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
that's amazing. Okay. Thank you
I'll
for
have to get
that.
the exact amount of grams for you, but it's really deep. So
Wow, I didn't know
you
that. Thank
know,
you for for making that connection
yeah.
for me.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Well, tell us about yourself. I'm fascinated by the work that you put out, the offerings that you have, your jewelry, and all the magical, work that you do. So tell us about yourself and your work.
Yes. Well, I love creating. It's honestly like a meditation to me. I feel so honored that I get to adorn like some
Wow.
beautiful, powerful women and men,
Mm,
but most of the clients I have are women. And it's just such an honor to me for me to create something from my heart, from my mind, and then I get to see it adorned on a beautiful woman or man. It's it's
mhm.
everything to me, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the ancestors for allowing me this creativity, to use my hands, to use my heart and my creativity. So it's a blessing. And all of the
Yeah.
jewelry that I create, all of the adornments I create, are definitely inspired by my ancestors, by my culture, by the culture of the Maya people also,
Mm.
because I've studied with a Mayan elder, a Mayan Halkin is his proper term.
What is
And
it
so
again?
it's a
Mayan.
Halkin. Yes, his name is
Oh.
Unatmen. He is a Maya elder,
Mm.
and the title that he has is a Halkin, which means um, a master of the sun. So he was a solar daykeeper. So I studied with him, and that's given me so much inspiration as well. Um, so yeah, I'm
So
honored. I'm so
beautiful.
honored. Yes, I also
Yeah.
offer. I'm a certified yoga instructor, and I've also been initiated by my teacher Unwatman to share the ancient teachings of Mayan yoga, or what he
Mm.
calls Yok'Hah, and
Yok'Hah.
Yok'Hah, which
Okay. I
means
think I think I look, yeah. Yokha, right? Okay.
YOK apostrophe
Yok'Hah.
HA.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
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 this
I have
means
to be honest, I
standing.
didn't know about that until I saw your work.
Yes, it's interesting because in that man, if you and I'll show you a picture of
Okay, yes, we lost the
Okay.
audio for a bit. Okay. So yeah, so tell us again about the book that you showed me on the screen.
Yes. So in this book, it's written by Unwat's Men, and the title
Mm,
of this book is called Secrets of Mayan Science and Religion. And this
mm,
was Unwat's second book.
mm-hmm.
And in this book, he talks about Mayan yoga or Yok'Hah,
Yok'Hah.
and it's very similar to
Mhm.
yogic teachings, ancient Sanskrit, ancient Hindu teachings.
Oh, wow,
And
that's
it's
amazing.
it's so deep. It's so amazing.
And it's not
It
known,
it's
right?
not,
People
and
don't
it
know
should
about
be
this.
because this book is
Absolutely.
available everywhere.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
this piqued my interest when I read this book. It was given to me by a friend who was a Chicano studies professor. And at the time, I was already a yogi, I guess, quote unquote. I was practicing yoga for many, many, many years. I've been practicing for at this time, oh my gosh, like 21 years. And
Okay.
so he gave me this book.
Mhm.
I was intrigued, and then that's when I sought out Unboxman, my teacher, and yeah, it just all of this wisdom that he's shared with me has impacted my life in the most positive way, reminding us to come back to those ancestral teachings, reminding us of our limitlessness, and not to always be focused in this 3D, in this third
Mm,
dimensional life that we live, right? Because we're
yeah.
so much more.
Mm.
And if we listen to the ways of our ancestors, we'll be reminded of that.
Oh, so beautiful. And there's so many ways I want to, or some, so many paths I want to take with this. But one of my big, I guess, mission and just my life work is, with the ancestral healing. And from the perspective that you studied and with your teachers, what is the connection, or how do they connect with their ancestors? From the Mayan perspective, how does that happen through that wisdom and that medicine?
Mm. Well, according to Unbox men, they think of time in a circular way. They don't think of time in a linear way. So they don't see birth and death. It's it's never ending. There is no beginning and there is no ending. So
Wow.
we
Hmm.
are constantly here with our ancestors. We are our ancestors. And
Hmm.
it's just a continual, like if we could picture the Milky Way in our mind, right? And that circular pattern the Milky Way creates. That's us.
Hmm.
We are that circular pattern. We are the Milky Way, which
Oh,
the Mayas refer to as the Unabku. We
oh,
are the Unabku. We are the universe. And so we are our ancestors as well.
hmm. So beautiful. Wow. And how did you come about this journey? I mean, how did I know that you mentioned the book, but prior to that, even with the yoga, and tell us a little bit about your own path in regards to being, on this healing and just perhaps personal healing. But how did you get started in this realm?
Mm. Um, you know, I've always been a critical thinker. I've always questioned everything. And I guess you could say, which is interesting because I see this, um, I was considered the black sheep of the family.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? We're the
Yeah,
weird ones. And
definitely. I can relate to that too.
it's always us, right? Um, so I've always been.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
It's
Um,
okay.
I've always been seeking something else, something different. And I don't know. I feel like that's just innately within me.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
why. But ever since I was young, really young, and it just led me to this path of wanting to understand who who am I? Who
Mm,
are my ancestors? I mean, deep, learning about the dream state, learning
mm,
about universe, learning about yoga and meditation and breath work and how that connects us to all of that,
yeah.
to
And
the
how young were you when all of this started?
wow. And what I could remember and it's transition, it's evolved. It's gone from me being a critical thinker about the things going on around me, politically, socially, ever since I was a teenager. Just, why is it like this? Why can't
Mhm.
I be this way? Why can't I do this instead of
Right.
that? Critical thinking. And then it's
Mhm.
evolved over time as I've educated myself or people have educated me. It's evolved into now and I know there's still so much evolution to go. I know there's so much more learning to have absorbed. Um,
Yeah,
so I don't
absolutely.
know. I think it was just innately within me,
Always,
and
yeah. Yeah.
really blessed that my parents have always supported that through
Yeah,
all my weird
wonderful.
phases. They're
Oh,
just like,
yeah.
yeah, Mija, like, go be weird.
Oh my goodness, I love that. Yes. Yeah, and then encourage being supportive of you, right? They were supportive of whatever path that you wanted to explore.
Exactly. Even if it was very different than theirs, even if they didn't understand it, even if they
Mm,
didn't agree with it, and at a young age, very young, my mom, she's an avid reader, avid. Like, we would go to the library every week,
mm.
and I wasn't picking up like deep books. I was probably picking up comic strip books, but she enforced that into our
Yeah.
life. Like, hey, let's go to the library, get some books. And so every week we would go. And so that was really part of my journey too, loving to read and loving to learn.
Mm. Yeah, they nurtured that, right? They nurtured that part of you that wanted to learn, and they
Absolutely.
supported that. Yeah.
So it
Mm.
really helped to amplify me, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
And then I also think, I wasn't growing up, I was a young mother. I had my daughter when I was 18 years old.
Mm.
And so I didn't have time to be conscious, or, I was a
Absolutely.
mom, I was working, I was cooking and cleaning and taking care of my child.
Yeah.
So I
Mhm.
didn't have this time, and I wish I could go back, and there's so many things I would change, so many things. Um, but it is what it is. And
Yeah.
while I was a single mom, I started practicing yoga as my kids grew up. My son was maybe like a year at that time, and I was working in the medical industry. I worked at City of
Mm.
Hope Medical Center. They offered free yoga lessons.
Okay.
So I feel like that was like a huge step
Mhm.
into where I am now too.
Mhm.
I started practicing yoga, meditation, learning about the chakras,
Mhm.
and it always did feel foreign to me. As beautiful as it was, these teachings, I would read the words in Sanskrit, and I just knew that it didn't belong to me.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So fast forward, you know, uh, 15 years, me practicing yoga, meditation, all of these things, is when I came across Umbat Men's book.
Mm.
And in that book, he tied everything together for me.
Oh.
Like, hey, yes, that is foreign to you because that comes from Hindustan. It comes from India,
Mm.
which is a magnetic center of the world with vast and divine teachings. But here, the Mexica, the Maya, your ancestors, they also have these divine teachings, which are exactly the same teachings.
Mm.
Sound healing, mantras,
Mm.
mudras, all with different names. We have different names for those things. Um, and it just allowed me to connect to it in a deeper way because now these are the teachings of my ancestors. I could
Mm.
relate, I could connect, I could speak those words, and it awakens something within me, and it's not
Yeah.
foreign.
Mm.
So, and here I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Your journey is just like one thing just kind of led to another, And at the end there, it just sounded like there was this really deep remembrance of
Mm,
who you are, and that reconnection with your roots and your ancestors, and your whole body became aware, and it woke up, from your mind body. It woke up to that, and here you are, right, practicing this and teaching this. And I can relate to your journey, because I also came to this realm of spirituality and meditation through yoga.
mm,
So that was the door for me as well. And it's so interesting that you mentioned that sense of feeling like it felt foreign to you. There wasn't that there was something there, but you didn't take it on as your own, right? As
right.
you didn't, you practice it, and it helped you tremendously in in your journey, but there was something missing, and so it wasn't until you discovered the Mexica and the Mayan tradition of this path, the yogic path, that it really amplified. And would you say that in regards to just your own spiritual journey, does it correlate with you, just like your gifts as a perhaps as a healer, your gifts as a just as a person, a woman? Did it expand when you discovered the Mayan Mexica path? Did it just amplify at that point?
It opened the gates wide open. It
Mm.
opened the gates for me.
Can you describe a
And
little bit of how that was? Like when you mean like the
oh,
gates open, like how
yes,
was that for you?
transitional. It was life changing.
Mm.
You know, the catalyst to that was when I went to Kentucky, of all places, to
Mm.
study with Unba.
So
You know,
is he based in Kentucky at this point, or?
no, he is from Mexico,
Mhm.
but there was a school in Kentucky,
Oh, wow.
and so they brought him to Kentucky
Of all
to
places.
teach, of all
Oh
places.
my goodness, that's amazing.
I know, like Kentucky, but it was so beautiful. It was
Oh,
amazingly gorgeous there. Um, I've always been fascinated by my ancestors. I've always um, been so proud, of the things they've accomplished, the beauty, the
absolutely.
wonders, the temples. All of it's always fascinated me. Um, so when I went to study with Unbats, it was a very intimate setting. There was only about 10 of us, maybe,
Mm.
and it was very open. We were allowed to talk to him, chill with
Mm.
him, ask him anything we wanted. And so I went prepared. I took my notebook and I had like a million questions for him. Honestly, like I was
Yeah.
asking him about, what is his view on human sacrifice? What does he think about homosexuality? Like,
Mm. Yeah.
I asked
Yeah.
him everything,
Yeah.
and he he was such a down to earth person who was so simple but so profound. And being with him, learning from him, it just opened my mind wide open. And it reminded me that there is no limitation. There's
Mm.
none. If we reflect on everything that our ancestors have created,
Mm.
there was no limitation. We try to place those limitations. Like, how did they create that? It has to be an alien.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's what you hear, right? It's like there's no way, how that could be possible. But yeah, we're limitless, and so
We
we're our
are.
ancestors. Yeah.
Exactly. We are. And he reminded me of that. And he taught me so many beautiful things, and, and beautiful practices to further awaken that genetic
Mm,
memory that
mm,
we all have. Awaken it and just bust it right open. And so I
it's
don't even remember what the
amazing.
question was. I got so into it.
I no, I asked you how was it for you, like in that when you said the flood, everything was just the floodgates were open, you just were immersed in that, and I just asked how was that for you, just being in this, experiencing this.
Yes. Yeah. It has been life changing.
Mm,
And it just continued from there. Um, my teacher, Unbox Men, introduced me to another elder, Masatsin, who works with the sacred Mexica calendars. And he has just been a wealth of information. And same, like I am honored to have learned from him and gone into ceremony with him.
mm,
And so, yeah, it just continued. And it's
yeah,
still like, this is still, I feel this is still the beginning
you're
for me.
still on the journey. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So what is the Mexica calendar? I'm curious. I'm not familiar at all. I mean, I've heard of the Mayan calendar and the Aztec calendar, but I have not heard of the Mexica calendar.
The Mexica calendar probably would be the Aztec calendar.
Ah,
We call the
okay.
Tonopoali. Um, but it's so intricate. I don't even have a full comprehension of it, to be honest with you. And that's why I say, like, I know this is just the beginning for me. I know very little about it, uh, but it's probably what people refer to as the Aztec calendar, is the
Mm,
Tonopoali.
okay. Okay. Funny that you mentioned that because I'm my pendant is the Aztec calendar.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's it. Hmm.
I got this like I think 15 years ago when I traveled to Mexico City, and I put it away for I think for 10 years, and then recently I found it, and it's silver, so it was tarnished, and I cleaned it up, and I was like, oh, I can wear this again. I forgot about it. Like you have so much. I don't know. I'm sure you have so much stuff, jewelry and things that you forget. And it's been like 10 years since
Wow.
and I just put it on a couple of days ago. So it's very synchronistic that we're talking about that today.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
perfect. I don't think anything is a coincidence.
yeah.
And it's a very sacred calendar,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and learning about the little I do know about it.
Mm,
I know it's so the Mexica calendar and the Maya calendars are so divinely connected to the planetary alignment that when we learn the calendars, because there's several, um, we are able to predict the future.
wow.
And this is what
Mm-hmm.
the Mayas used this for. The Mayas were some of the greatest cosmologists and would study
Yeah.
the stars and the planetary alignment every day. And that was their
Mm,
dedication. And we could learn, women could learn the best time to get pregnant with a female child, or the
really?
best time to get pregnant with a male child,
Wow.
and the best time
So
to,
interesting.
if resources were limited, they would know the best time to have sex so they wouldn't get pregnant.
Huh. Wow.
So it's
So
so deep,
advanced, right? Such an
deep,
advanced civilization. Yeah.
so advanced. It's not
Yeah.
like the civilization that we live in today, um, which when I teach these things, they are very strict, and it's not something that I live by 100%. I'm just a student, you know, um, but they are very strict, and many people are like, "Oh my God, like these are so strict."
Yeah.
Yes, they were, and this is how they've created a civilization that we can still see and have the effects from thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years
Right.
later.
Right. This is how they preserved their knowledge, their medicine, their wisdom.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And so, I know that you offer a lot of, I've noticed you have a lot of classes on like the divine feminine and tapping into that part within us. Can you tell us a little bit more about that role within perhaps the Mayan or Mexica tradition, and how do you incorporate that in the work that you do?
Mhm. Yes. I mean, being a woman, um, it's just so important to me. Having these beautiful women around me, and I feel I love my men. Trust me, I love my men. Uh, but my
Yeah.
sisters, they're everything to me.
Yeah.
They lift me up, they support me, they guide me. And so, and being a woman, I honor the divine feminine.
Mm,
And I know our ancestors did as well. You
mm,
know, God is a man and God is a woman. And when
mm,
we reflect on these ancient teachings of the Maya, of the Mexica, we learn like women are so powerful. We are the creators. We give birth to life.
mm,
Yes, we need a man. Yes, we do need men. We need that
mhm,
divine balance, that ometeo, the creation of duality. We need that. Um, but especially in the society that we live in now, which is very patriarchal, um, I focus on that divine feminine energy
mm,
because we need to showcase it. We need to bring it out more, not just in women, in men too, because men
mhm,
also carry feminine energy
mhm,
and women carry masculine energy. But
mhm.
we've had this overtly masculine energy running our societies for a long time.
Absolutely.
And
Mhm.
it's time to come back to balance.
Yeah.
So if I could be any part in stimulating an awakening that power within women, wow, that's everything to me. That's
Mm,
everything to me.
mhm,
Women are just such beautiful, powerful creators to me. I see it. I see them, and
mhm,
and
mhm.
it's something that I need to focus on.
Okay. Yeah, and you do. I mean, I just in the looking over your work, and I see that connection to that divine female, I don't know, just that goddess energy. I definitely get a sense of that, and I think that's one of the things that is very, for at least for me, that just I gravitate towards, because like you said, we live in such a patriarchal society that I think a lot of women are waking up to that thirst, that desire to connect with our divine goddess feminine energy within us, right? Because we're so, just we're so used to just working and going and going and going, and just, that I feel like a lot of us don't have that balance, right? And being able to tap into the beauty and the nurture and the sensuality and just that part within us, I think it's beautiful. And that's one of the things that gravitated me to your work, is that
Mm,
connection, that sense that I got of being able to tap into that part, within us, that divine
mm,
feminine part that, like you said, we all carry, right? Regardless
yes,
of whether, we're men or women, or, or however we identify, we all have different elements within us.
absolutely. And
Mm-hmm.
it's an honor for me to awaken that within other
Mm-hmm.
women.
Mm,
It is to remind them, because we all we all are divine goddesses. We are. We create life. Like what? That's we could bring a human into this world.
Right, yeah, yeah.
We
It is taken for granted, right?
It is, and I'm not saying all women need to procreate. I'm not saying that. It's I don't feel like motherhood is should have to be placed on any woman. It's
Mm,
only if she so chooses. We are still all valuable, and we're
mm,
still creators, and we're still goddesses,
mm,
whether we want to have children or we don't, or whatever the case be.
mhm,
And
mhm.
awakening that within other women is just such an honor to
Yeah,
me to remind them.
yeah, yeah. And that's your life. Is I get the sense that's your mission. That's your life's mission at this at least at this point in time for you. I mean,
I
things
feel
always
that.
change, yeah. But now that's yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I want to go back to the one of the things that I just found so fascinating about your work is the Mayan yoga. You know, because I'm also a yoga teacher, and I've studied yoga for a long time, and I'm so shocked that I have never heard of Mayan yoga. So when it comes to, so I want to go back a little, a little bit to that, just out of curiosity, and for our listeners to get a sense of that and to spread the knowledge of that, because I didn't know until I met you. Uh, so how are there any postures? Or I know you mentioned there's mantras and there's very a lot of similarities to the yoga from India that we are all familiar with. So can you describe a little bit more about what the physical practice looks like, and what would a class, one of the classes that you teach, what would it look like? What would it be unique or different than what we're used to in regards to yoga?
Hmm. Um, so Mayan yoga is very, very similar to Hindu teachings. If we look across the globe, this yoga is everywhere. It just has different names. Tai Chi, Reiki, Qigong,
Mm,
yoga,
mm,
yoga, whatever you want to call it,
mm,
all of these divine cultures have these understandings, ancient understandings, coming to your breath. Your breath is everything, right? The breath of life, your prana, the Mayas call ki.
mm.
And I don't know if I'm even pronouncing that right because another teacher told me it was pronounced in a different way, but I know it's spelled K apostrophe I K.
Mm,
And so it's funny because I didn't even know about these teachings either until about 2012 when I was able to study with Unbat. So the way it would look would be very similar to very ancient teachings of yoga. When I went to go study with Unbat, I was so excited. Also, I'd like to come back and teach everybody. Oh my God, look at what I found.
yeah, yeah.
And I went into so many yoga studios. And like I said, I was already a practicing yogi for like like over a decade.
Mhm.
So when I went into these yoga studios, they were like, no, that's not yoga. That's not yoga. We need
Oh,
somebody to stretch our people out. We need somebody. It was very about the physical body,
mhm.
which, as you know, the asanas are important to yoga, but they are just one of the 8 limbs
Right,
of yoga. And if
absolutely.
we
Mhm.
speak to the root, right? I love to dig to the root. I'm a tekbot. That's my day sign. The tekbot is the flint, the one digging to the root of the truth. So
Mhm.
I dug yoga. What is this? I need to learn more. This is yoga. And when we search for that truth, we find that the truest ancient forms of yoga had nothing to do with the physical body. It had everything to do with hymns, songs, your breath,
Mm-hmm.
hand postures. They call mudra. The Mayas call Yok'Hah. And we see the Mayas
Mm,
in these hand postures when we visit the sacred templos of Ekbalam, when we look at the codices that we have
mm,
available, we see them placing their hands in different directions. And they
yeah.
weren't doing that like for no reason. There was purpose and intent.
Mm,
And these teachings, these are the teachings that we practice in a Mayan yoga class. We will explore these practices. We will talk about the hand postures and what they mean. We will do chanting, um, creating vibrations within our body,
mm,
using our voice and our breath uh, to release stagnant energy, release stagnant ideas, um, because none of those ideas serve us. And reminding ourselves, like I said earlier, we're living in this third dimensional world, and
mhm.
there's so much more. And we know that. We know that.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what a class would look like. It would
Mm,
be a lot of meditation, a lot of a deep thought, breath work, and the Yok'Hah, the mudras,
mhm.
a
Okay.
lot of heart opening, a lot
Mm,
of remembering, because Unbatsmen says that we're all born with all of this wisdom. We
mm.
know about the chakras, and the Mayas also, not just Indian people have chakras. We all do.
Yeah, absolutely. We all do. It's a yeah,
We
it's
we all have
humanity,
energy.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
all living beings have chakra.
exactly.
Yes.
We all have energy centers within our body, and
Mhm.
when we learn to activate those energies, we become more balanced individuals. We become able to forgive, to release fear, to love, to think in a more profound way,
Mm,
to connect to our ancestors, to each other. We
mhm.
learn a deeper respect for everybody. And I feel like that's the underlying foundation of these teachings
Mhm.
is a saying, a greeting, a Mayan greeting, in Lak'ech. I feel like that's the whole foundation. I am
Mm,
you and you are me.
mm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Once we realize that, that's everything.
Mhm.
Because if I am you and you are me, I wouldn't hurt you. I would only love you the way I love myself. And we could
Mhm.
say in Lak'ech, we could apply this philosophy to everything. We could apply
Yeah,
this philosophy to a hummingbird. And
absolutely.
we could apply this philosophy to the bees. We could apply this philosophy to the Father Son, to the universe, because we are an integral part of nature. We are the sun, we are nature, we are the bee,
Mhm.
we're everything. And
Mm.
imagine what this world would look like if we all held that reverence
Yeah,
for each other and every part of nature.
yeah.
Girl, we'd be elevating.
Oh my, absolutely. Oh my goodness, your words are so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And I know that I would love to learn more about your teachings and the the Mayan yoga and the divine feminine classes. How if and if our listeners want to learn more about you,
Mm.
how can they connect with you? How can they learn more about your work?
Yes. Well, right now I am working on a website. I'm really
Mm,
excited about that. But I'm being patient and taking my time. So right now the greatest form of connecting with me is through Instagram at Children of Venus.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like I answer all my messages. I'm on there often.
Yeah.
More often than I would even like sometimes, which is why I'm starting the website.
Yeah.
So that would be the easiest way to connect to me. I do have a
Wonderful.
lot of events coming up for women, with other beautiful women
Yeah.
co-facilitating as well.
Yeah.
So look out for those.
Yeah.
And most of all, though, I do want to give honor and reverence to my teachers, to Unbatsmen, for allowing me to learn these things, for teaching me these things, sharing his wisdom, you know, just so selflessly,
Yeah.
you know, sharing with me. So I feel like if this is something that interests you, yes, I'm a vessel to carry on those teachings the best I can in the most authentic way I can. But go to the source, read his books. His books are everything. They are mind blowing. So, and then also giving reverence to my teacher Masatsin for trusting me in this journey and calling me to ceremony and calling me to represent for our ancestors. So
yeah. Oh, beautiful. Well, once again, thank you so much for being here with me and having this amazing conversation. Everything that you shared, I deeply resonate with. I feel like we were meant to have this conversation because just in while we were sharing, I'm already thinking of, just stuff for myself that I want to learn more about in my for my own journey, for my own path. So thank you so much. And I know that you put a lot of offerings. So definitely for our listeners, check out her offerings. I will. I check your Instagram. It's one of those that I check regularly because I'm always trying to make sure that I don't miss any offerings. I want to make sure I go to the next one that you have available. So it hasn't lined up with my schedule so far, but that's what I'm saying. I'm looking to make sure that I can join on one of these events that you have coming up. Okay, but thank you so much again.
thank you,
And I
Rosa.
just want to finish it with that saying that you shared: "I am you, you are me," and I honor you and your work, and so much gratitude to your elders, your teachers, and your ancestors for bringing you to us here, for our listeners to take on this wisdom that came through you today.
Thank you, sis. And lakech alakin. I am you and you are me. Thank you so much for
Yes,
giving me this opportunity.
of
And thank you
course.
for the work that you do in the community
Oh,
as well. You know, it takes a village. It takes all of us to play
absolutely.
these roles to create a better society. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Of course.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you found it healing and nourishing to your mind and soul. If there's a friend that you think would benefit from listening to this information, please share it. Share about our podcast. If you feel called to, please leave us a review, as this really, really helps boost our presence here in Apple Podcast, and it makes it easier for others to find us. To stay up to date on new episode releases and special events and projects that I'm working on, you can follow us on Instagram at Inner Healing Paths Podcast. And you can subscribe to my newsletter by going to my website, which is rosachettilcsw.com. And I will include this information and links in the show notes. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to sharing with you again next time.